Hi, this is our ECO 101 project on monopolies. Hope you enjoy.
A monopoly is when a specific firm or enterprise is the only supplier of a particular good or service. They are characterized by a lack of economic competition to produce a good service or commodity. A perfect monopoly consists of a single seller of a product with no close substitutes. An imperfect monopoly consists of a single seller market of a product with little competition. A private monopoly is when production is owned, controlled, and managed by an individual or organization. Lastly, a public monopoly is when production is owned, controlled, and managed by the government. A natural monopoly is when there are barriers to entry because of the high startup costs or finite resources. One example of a natural monopoly is an electric company. The initial cost of a hydroelectric dam is very high, and profits will not be seen for quite some time. If there are multiple hydroelectric dams, the long-run profitability will be decreased to the point where it would be not worth keeping it running.
One of the most infamous monopolies is the Carnegie Steel Company, which was run by Scottish-born Andrew Carnegie. During this time, the United States was working on constructing a railroad system that connected the East Coast to the West Coast, and therefore needed mass quantities of steel, and therefore was a highly profitable company because the government provided a guaranteed market. Carnegie had a special relationship with the government due to his work with the Union Army. Monopolies gave unprecedented economic power, which is also connected to political and social power.
Andrew Carnegie had a mixed relationship with organized labor, and in 1856 he aided in breaking his first strike. In 1892, the contract expired between the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers and the Carnegie Steel Company. At the time, Carnegie himself was in Europe, and business partner Henry Clay Frick was left to manage the situation. Frick contracted out the Pinkerton Detective Agency, which was a private police force known for its violent strike breaking. A shootout occurred between the iron workers and the Pinkertons, which lasted for 12 hours, with the iron workers winning. The Pinkertons lost, and because of Carnegie's special relationship with the state, the governor called in a state militia, which violently suppressed the strike. The young anarchist Alexander Berkman attempted to assassinate Henry Clay Frick in an act known as propaganda of the deed, which was meant to inspire the mass with the deed of the assassination. It is important to note that the strikers did not support or know of Alexander Berkman prior to the incident. The strike, which had effectively been broken by the state militia, had now lost its public support due to his actions. Congress passed the first antitrust law in 1890, which was known as the Sherman Act, to encourage free market competition among firms by breaking up monopolies. Two other antitrust laws that were passed in 1914 were the Federal Trade Commission Act and the Clayton Act. These three antitrust laws are the core federal antitrust laws that are still in place today.
A public monopoly is fundamentally different from a private monopoly because, at least in theory, a public monopoly allows for the democratic control of the production, distribution, and labor used in those actions. Not every industry benefits from competition or a market. An example of that would be a healthcare industry, where the goal is sort of to provide healthcare, not necessarily to be efficient. And to explain that, I'll use the words of Paul Krugman, that the truth is that the notion of beneficial competition in the insurance industry is all wrong in the first place. Insurers mainly compete by engaging in risk selection. That is, the most successful companies are those that do the best job of denying coverage to those who need it most.